Hello, everybody. I am Mario J. Radford, the lead pastor of this great church, Growth Point. So before we came into 2020, we had our New Year's Eve celebration, and of course we had a musical artist, and I really appreciate, I really look at New Year's Eve as a really important time because I think that it brings us into the new year. I really spend a lot of time listening to see what I believe God is speaking to us as we go into. I don't just look at it as just, then let's count down until 12. And one of the message that was spoken that night was called Hold On to What You Heard. It was talking about how Elijah had sent out his servant to go. He said, there's rain that's coming. And every time he came back, he said, I don't see anything. And he said, I know it. Basically, he stayed in his position to say, I know what I heard. And basically, it was a encouragement that no matter what 2020 looked like, hold on to the word, hold on to whatever it is that God has spoken to you. And little did we know what 2020 was going to look like and how we would all be challenged to hold on to the things that we had heard. It was a really, it was a foreshadowing, a forecasting prophecy, I guess, of what things were to come and how we need to be encouraged to hold on. 21 days in January. It seems so long ago, but we started with 21 days of prayer, and we ended with our revive experience, our revival, and we had Timothy Finley from Kingdom Fellowship, and we had April Wilson, which her name has changed now because she got married from Tennessee. It was a really, really great experience. And then, of course, my wife, she had a birthday in January, and so it was a really great time. But what came later, we would turn back to our 21 days and reflect on why we needed it in the beginning. I remember January 26th, Sunday, January 26th.
Kobe Bryant has been killed in a helicopter crash.
We had a wonderful service. I was getting ready to go out the door. After every service, I always gonna go out the door. I change shirts. Sometimes I preach too hard. So I change shirts before I greet the people. I always like to talk to the people. So I was going out the door, and I remember everybody seeming, they were shifting, and like people started to look, discomforted. And I was like, was the message that bad? But then I remember getting to the back, and people started coming out, and a lot of tears were in people's eyes. And I was like, either the message was bad or something has happened. And I remember one of our key members, staff members of our creative team, Kia Arnold, came up to me and she was like, Kobe Bryant passed. I said, what? And it's like shifted. It was like a cloud over everybody. I mean, it was tragic. Someone was actually trying to get that news to me before we ended the message, but for some reason, someone didn't give it to me. They didn't think that it was worth breaking the service for. But how tragic that was. My children, my whole family is basketball fanatics, so that was a really, really sad event that really started a lot of chain of events that happened throughout the year. But that was how January, that was a really, outside of prayer and the revival, that was really a sad time. So after we had 21 days of prayer, after we came out of January, and then February was the national holiday, the entire world shut down. I don't know if you heard about it, but I want to remind you of what happened in February. Not what shut down the world entirely, but it shut down the internet. I turned 40 years old. Look at me. 40 years in this vineyard. I turned 40, and we had a party. Turned down for what? We had a party, and the only bad thing about the night was I tried to step. That didn't go so well. I needed more time. Those of you who don't know, the only dance that I'm good at is in church. Outside of that, I need some help. I appreciate the church for throwing that party. And for those of you who missed it, you missed a once-in-a-lifetime event. It won't be the last party we have, but it was a really, really, really great night. Black and gold. What other colors are there?
Black's not even coloring.
Whatever. So March, we were excited. We were preparing for our 5th year anniversary. We were thinking about that. It was coming in April. And then there was this news about this virus. We didn't think it was anything that serious. We've heard different viruses that have hit, and it didn't seem serious until we started hearing about the NBA shutting down. Then it was wind of churches that were closing down. I was like, wait a minute, what's going on? I don't know if it was the second or the third Sunday of March. We decided, hey, maybe we need to close down for a minute. And we closed. I remember the very last Sunday we were in. I mean, it was like, I guess everybody knew we were getting ready to close. When I tell you, it was like heaven came down on earth. It was just a very, very powerful experience of the presence of God that day. Not long after that, one of our oldest members, Mother Joyce Smith, had contracted the virus. Went from bad to worse. I remember the last time I talked to her, they said that she couldn't stop coughing when I was talking to her. Couldn't go visit her. And she said, Pastor, I want you to not be worried about me. I'm fine. I'm fine. She said, my soul is well. And that was the last time I talked to her, and it wasn't long after that that she passed away. That is when COVID became real to us. That was really sad when she passed. She was a faith-filled person. She was the life of any room she was in, always. She was on our worship team. She didn't care if she wasn't up there on stage. She had a microphone. She would sit in the front row, and she would holler half the time, holler and shout. She couldn't sing through a song without shouting. We still miss her today. Especially as a pastor, a lot of people might not realize when someone passes, a piece of you goes. That shifted us from a family, but then we had to go from in-person to what would our online presence look like. We started something called Growth on the Go, where we started to make sure that everybody was able to see, called it Growth on the Go, because people were moving, maybe mobile at home, but still being able to experience growth anywhere, wherever they were. So one of the things with Growth on the Go that we did was reinstitute what we call Circles of Growth. It's our small group model that we've had since the early days of the church. We instituted that or relaunched that, as well as some different things for our children. So with the Kids Point Online, they're able to get a lesson, and then like our staff with the Kids Point, they also do a video too. Lakeitha Brooks has really sometimes single-handedly done a lot of things, because we've had a lot of people who, when you start dealing with children, you have to have dedicated people that are really there. And she's really been dedicated as Stacia Emanuel, call her Dr. Emanuel, has really been over our education area. But Lakeitha has really been very instrumental to helping our kids and making sure that we've been effective in that. We're still working on the communication. We haven't fixed it all the way, but we're better in it. And we had all these different go here, go here, go here. Finally, we got an app through software that we use called Fellowship One. And it allows us to be able to send out messages through it. People are able to give through it. There are a lot of different things that it helped us to streamline our communication. So in June, we moved into our new location on Harvard Drive. We left. It was bittersweet. I remember the very last Sunday that we were there recording at Appian Way, and Daddy Mike came.
Your wife's like my daughter. We talk about that. She's my daughter, and you're like a son to me.
And we cried on the stage. It was, I remember he left right before I was getting ready to record, and our media team who was there, they were like, well, now we all want to cry. So we wanted to do something for the kids outside of just lesson planning and different things like that that they had been doing online. So we came up with a back to school bash / movie night. But it was great. All the family from the community who came, socially distanced, of course, but they came, got backpacks, got helped, and were able to go out and use that for whatever they needed it for, and have a great night with the movies as well. This year we did College Weekend. Jason Brooks and Asia Martin helped to get that together. We were like, how can we do a college weekend and do it safe? So we decided to go have some games here at the church, socially distanced. We had games, and of course every college event has to have food. Then on that Sunday, of course, we had the college students were doing different things with music, or we had some that did some spoken word, dance, and everyone represented their Greek paraphernalia or their particular school that they went to. So who's been helping us with a lot of our evangelism work that we've done this year, and actually last few years, has been Corrine Reed. And she's Corrine has been one of those, wherever you need her, she's going to be. Some of the things that we did even this year in a pandemic, we were able to still serve with Church Under the Bridge, which is a great partnership that we've had for a number of years. Then we did something around Good Friday weekend, which was a caravan, where we just basically painted our cars and decorated and played music, and we drove throughout the neighborhood. I would have never came up with that, but LaQuetta said, hey, we need to do a caravan. We were like, a caravan, what do we do? But she came up with that idea, and it was really good. My wife came up with a great idea to be able to say, hey, let's get some gifts for some of the mothers of our church. Those who we consider wise in years, we have called them mothers as a term of respect. We wanted to make sure we maintained the social distance. My wife's mother's twin sister, Aunt Katie, she didn't want to follow the rules. She wanted to hug us immediately. She said, come here. So that was the only rule breaker. I believe that partnership is very important. Sometimes you don't have to reinvent the wheel. Sometimes you just have to reach out to people who are already on the wheel. And we reached out to the Heart Rescue and CPR team here in Lexington. And they helped us when we were in October. We decided to do a Pink and Purple Sunday, where usually we just celebrate or make acknowledgement of the breast cancer, but we wanted to highlight domestic violence as well, because we actually in our church have domestic violence survivors and people who have escaped that, and we're grateful and partnering and supporting them. We did a COVID rapid testing where people could drive through. That was a partnership that was through them, and so that's really good, and we're looking forward to building that even greater to see what else we'll be able to do together. So we did our Above and Beyond Sunday on the first Sunday in December, which is something that we've done for the last few years. We were also able to use some of those funds to be able to give. And there are two organizations that we gave to this year: Radiant Church, which is a church in the South. It was a church plant. We gave to them, as well as to Divine Karama, who's one of our hometown brothers that we made sure that he has so many different projects. I mean, I don't know what he hasn't done other than run for office yet, but we want to make sure that we supported him and his Believing in Forever and Luna Library, and however he wants to use that. So church, thank you for helping us to be able to help them. Since we've started, I've been trying to find a way. We've been saying it every single year. We want to celebrate all the different people that we call Dream Team at the church. We don't just call people just teams or volunteers, but the Dream Team, because they help us to do what we do. And one of the ideas that we came up with was the Growth Point Awards. We had a host, Matt and Chrissy hosted it. It was fun, and we had a DJ set. We had a virtual background. People had to wear masks. People wore After 5 wear. It was a really, really great experience. This year, we had at least 85 new partners, new family members who joined our church in the midst of a pandemic. We had over 40 new guests that came to the church when we were in person. And that doesn't even include all the people who were tuning in just for the very first time that have connected, and those people who did come in person when we were here who just didn't fill out a connection card. 2021, pandemic or no pandemic, we're still growing, and our theme for next year is Grow Stronger. We have 3 pillars that we want to do that under: to grow internally, serve locally, and to reach globally. We want to grow internally, meaning we want to make sure that even as we are doing things outside of us, we want to make sure our teams are strong, that we have emotional health, that people are okay and that they're good, and that they know, we believe that everybody's a 10 in some area, and we want to make sure that everybody's in their 10 area, that they're serving in that great area. So we're doing a lot of leadership things, as well as relaunching again our circles of growth to make sure that people are connected with teams. And then as far as our going locally, making sure that we're doing more partnership and more community engagement, making sure that people know how to get homes, home ownership and business development. People want to start a business. How do you do that? What type of credit do you need for that? Job fairs, and making sure that we have people that are, even our students are okay as far as college applications or college readiness, or those things that are important to partner with people in the community who are already doing that, and to reach globally, to make sure that our online presence and that our online community and our Growth Point family that's anywhere and everywhere all at the same time, that they feel connected locally, even if they're somewhere globally, that we're reaching them, and that we have established the ways of connection, not just to have them streaming in like it's some sitcom or a broadcast, but they're connecting with their family, and that we're doing a great job of not just broadcasting or broadcasting globally, but that we're reaching globally in a way that impacts people that we might not ever meet. I want to say that this year has been a hard year. I want you to know that. It has been hard to lead through it. It's been hard to preach through it. And for many of you, it's been hard to live through it. It has not, there's no end in sight. But what I am most sure of is the presence of God and the Word of God and how we have been encouraged by it. And I want you to be encouraged by it. And for those of you who have served this year, thank you. For those of you who have connected with us, thank you. Many of you have been challenged and said, hey, I didn't come back when we were in person because I didn't feel safe. You are still family, and you are very important to who we are. I want you to know that as we end this year, that everything you need, you still have to grow. And that's what we're challenged by, to grow where we are and grow in your home and grow in your house and grow in your family. Many of you have been going through so much that you focus more on what you've gone through instead of what God has been growing you through. So I want to just challenge you and encourage you, no matter what you do. I say it every time we end every particular broadcast we have on Sundays. Whatever you do, keep growing.